As the Democratic Party is in desperate search for a new leader, someone who can carry the party back to its glory days, somebody like AOC, somebody that the people love, the people want, somebody who will lead the party out of its despicable hole that it's in right now. And everybody is pointing their finger at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They're saying that she is the shero that will revise the Democratic Party and bring the DNC back to its glory days and bring everybody back from the claws of Donald Trump and the Republicans. But will she be able to do that?
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Look, first, my brothers and my sisters, welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. I appreciate you guys for being with us tonight. We got much to discuss, all right? Because the Democratic Party is not doing that well. No, it's not doing that well. Right now, they don't know where to go. And they don't know who the next champion of the Democratic Party is going to be. I mean, we all know when it comes to the Republican Party, Donald Trump has been the champion for the last 10 years or so. And everybody's like Donald Trump Republicans, and he's been the one essentially carrying the Republican Party on his back for the last decade or so. But who's that for the DNC? So recently, CNN conducted a poll, and they found out that the ones who topped the poll, the one who best reflected the party after the people selected the people who are in the party, they found that AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, best held the values and the beliefs of the Democratic Party. Now, before we get into that, as you guys are piling in, what I need you guys to do is hit that like button, because I got to play this disclaimer. Got to make sure the disclaimer is already out there. So everything we play thus forth will be under the guise of fair use. So y'all hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, all of that as we continue. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, all right. Little bug right there. All right, here we go. So let's get off with this, right? So this comes from US Today. It says Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, are taking the Trump rebellion show on the road and giving Democrats a master class as to how to organize ahead of the 2026 midterms. Yeah, the Democrats are not in a very best position right now. So what we have here is we have Bernie Sanders, of all people, and AOC going around doing a tour of Fight the Oligarchy. All right. So they're going around and they're out there parading, talking about what the Democratic Party represents and how they need to galvanize people for the next election. And apparently there's been a large turnout and things like that. So that's what they've been up to. That's what they've been up to. Now, a lot of people were asking where was this energy back when, Biden was in office, but let's not ask those questions because they don't want to answer those. But there's something interesting in here that I want us to see. I want us to look at that. So scrolling down. All right. Lord, this thing is acting a little glitchy tonight. It's acting a little glitchy tonight. Let me see. Okay. So they're saying that she best represents, I'm trying to get this off the thing. They're saying that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez best represents the actual values and beliefs of the party. That's what they're saying, right? Don't know what's going on. Not only are they saying that, there's some other people saying that. Don Lemon made the statement. This is what he had to say about AOC. A lot of people are gassing AOC up, saying that she's the best and the best for the party. Listen,
I think that this is the era of whether, and I didn't like her policies at first, and I'm not necessarily in love with her policies, but people love AOC. People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell and the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking for.
okay. So the politicians should put the people out here who they want, who they're asking for. And he's saying that people are asking for AOC and Jasmine Crockett. That's who the people want. That's who the people are asking for. That's who the people are demanding. All right. So before we get into that, let me actually show you guys the poll. That website was kind of like laggy. So I'm going to show you guys something else, a different poll, because I actually want to show you guys the physical number to that. And that website was kind of glitching a little bit. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's acting a little slow. Who knows? But it's okay. So we'll find this out. Let me just pull up this other poll. Okay. Real quick. Hold on. But, okay, hold on. Sometimes you got to deal, especially when you're live, you got to deal with technical difficulties, technical issues, and all of that stuff. It's terrible. But I got the poll up here. I'm about to show it to you guys in a second. So this is the poll. Let me zoom it in. Make sure you guys can see it. So the poll is right here. As we can see, we're just going to look at the top ones. We can look at this. Man, I wish I could get this off the screen. So Alexandria AOC is at the first place with 10%. Kamala Harris is at second place with 9%. Bernie Sanders is at third place with 8%. After him is Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, that's the Speaker of the House. After Hakeem Jeffries is Barack Obama, who's at 4%, and Jasmine Crockett, who is also at 4%. Then after Jasmine Crockett is Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi. All right, let me get this off. Let me close some things down. This is acting a little bit. Sometimes when you live, and then you know how the websites and stuff like that, panels like to do you. So we got to improvise, but that's what we do. We do this all the time. We always improvise, and I appreciate you guys for being here with us. All right, because that's what we do, and we do it the best, better than everybody else. So they're saying that AOC is at the top. Now, what I find very interesting is that they have Obama tied with Jasmine Crockett at 4%. And what's interesting about that is the fact that Obama was president for 8 years, 2 terms. All right. Obama has been the champion of the Democratic Party for a long time. He's been the main guy who's like, oh my God, he's the one carrying really the Democratic Party on his shoulders. And he's below Bernie Sanders. He's below Kamala Harris, whatever her name. He's below her, below Bernie Sanders, and Hakeem Jeffries. Obama doesn't even matter to the party anymore. Nobody even cares about Obama in the party. He's at the same rate of Jasmine Crockett. Now there's some things that Jasmine Crockett has been saying that I want to discuss. There's some things, I want to get the thing with Jasmine Crockett out the way. Before we focus on AOC the way we should, I want to get some things of Jasmine Crockett out of the way. Now, you know for a fact that she likes to put on a show. We all know that Jasmine Crockett likes to put on a show. All right. And she did that. She did just that. So recently she was at some type of event and she was speaking about Texas, and she had some unpolite words for the governor of Texas. So this is what she had to say. And I want to talk about this, but I want to talk about something that's a little bit more important, in my opinion, than this. So let's listen.
But nobody's really asking you, what do you need to maintain that fight? So thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey. So yes.
Okay. So she calls Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. For those who don't know, Governor Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas, and he's in a wheelchair. All right. Called him Governor Hot Wheels. And there's a lot of reaction to this. Let's break this down, right? Personally, Governor Greg Abbott, I don't care for Governor Greg Abbott. I'm just going to be honest with you. Is Governor Greg Abbott a fan or a friend to black people? Not at all. No, he is not. All right. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, how could you say that about Greg Abbott? No, I'm not. I mean, come on. They say stuff. Democrats say stuff. Republicans say stuff. I don't think any black person should be crying on behalf of Greg Abbott. I'm not tripping about I'm not tripping about it. I do think that this is not a good look for her at all, especially considering that this is the party that claims to vouch for disabled people, and this is the party that claims to vouch for the underdog and the poor and all of that stuff. And then you're kind of making fun, not really him, but then you're making fun of the fact that he's in a wheelchair, and a lot of people can take offense to that. It's not a good look, especially if you're trying to trend or whatever the case is. That's not a good look. Not that I'm offended on behalf of Greg Abbott, because I don't care what you say about Greg Abbott. I'm not no fan of Greg Abbott. I'm not no defender or advocate for Greg Abbott or the Republican Party. Say what you want to say. But just looking at this from an objective point of view, this is probably not the best thing to say right now. While you guys are trying to, because all the news articles is making it seem like you're very unsensitive. They're trying to they're literally trying to punish her for this. Now, let's say this. Well, what she said, was it really that bad? I'm not offended by it. But here's the thing. Everybody is dragging Jasmine about that statement. Everybody's getting on Jasmine's bumper about that statement. Was that statement insensitive? Yes. Was it kind of below the belt? Yes. Was it kind of beneath her? I wouldn't say it was beneath her, but it was below the belt. But you don't see a lot of people coming and running to Jasmine Crockett's defense about that. Let me tell you why. I want to explain this because this is beyond the joke or the whatever, the punchline. This is beyond that, right? The fact that black people are not coming to defend Jasmine about this, because black people would, but Jasmine has repeatedly shown that she's not having black people's best interests. Now, when you're a person who has black people's best interests at heart, it doesn't matter what you say, how out of line you are, black people will come to your defense. Okay? If Jasmine Crockett was a champion for reparations, if she was a champion for hate crime bill, if she was always talking about black people and black, let me tell y'all something. Let me give you an example of something. All right. And this, everybody's going to be able to agree with this. When the president of the United States got assassinated, this man got shot in the head. The first response Malcolm X said was, "I don't feel bad when chickens come home to roost." If you want to talk about somebody being insensitive in a moment of crisis, I don't think anybody can find a better definition than Malcolm X saying chickens coming home to roost. The president of the United States just got assassinated in front of everybody. It wasn't private. It was in front of everybody. It was all on camera and everything like that. And he was like, hey, chickens coming home to roost. Can't feel bad about it. And you know what black people did? Black people was like, I mean, he got a point. I mean, he do got a point. I mean, did he cross the line? But was he wrong, though? Like, was he wrong? No, I don't know if he was really wrong. Huh? Now, yeah, maybe. I can see it was a unsensitive. I mean, we was defended, but there was black folk out here, even to this very day, black people was like, well, you know, Malcolm, yeah, we don't even want to give you the fact that he was wrong. We don't even say he was wrong for that. We just say, yeah, I can see how you could feel that that was probably not the best time, but you know, I don't. When would it have been a better time? Like, I mean, we come up with excuses to defend that. You know what I'm saying? And no, you don't see a single black person to this day at all. You can't find a black person who was all like, yeah, he shouldn't have said that. That was wrong. That was wrong. He was wrong for that. He was bogus. Every black person like, you know what? I mean, maybe he could have waited a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, but I stand by him. I agree. So, and I'm saying this to let you guys know, it doesn't matter what you say, okay? Don't matter what you say. If you stand by black people will stand by you. If you stand by black people, if you are a rider for black people will have your back. It don't matter what you say. So why is Jasmine Crockett out here by herself? Why don't she got black people out here being all like, man, she can say what she want to say. Black people don't have Jasmine Crockett's back. It don't matter what Jasmine Crockett say. And she put her foot in her mouth all the time. And it doesn't matter what. Black people is not coming to Jasmine's defense. Black people are not doing it. Why? I'm going to show you this clip as to why. Let me bring this up as to why, because this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. When it comes time for her to speak on issues, the only issues she's speaking on are issues that do not pertain to our community. If Jasmine Crockett was a champion for our community, even as much, even if it's not the primary, but even if it was as much as she's the champion for everybody else in every other community, black people would have her back. But you don't see black people having her back because every time she gets a chance, she puts somebody else's community before black folk. Look at this.
For instance, transgender athletes in women's sports.
Yeah. And so I remember being at a barbershop in Philly, and I was talking to a black barber, and you know, everybody in the barbershop knew who I was, right? And so he had his daughter there, and she was itty bitty girl, preschool. And he was like, you know, I don't know how I really feel about all this trans stuff. And I said, okay, I'm okay with you not knowing. That's fine. I said, but let me ask you, how many trans kids are playing with your daughter? He was like,
well, didn't she just say that her daughter, that the man she's talking to in the barbershop, because she only talked to black people like this. There's only the correction. The only time anybody corrects somebody about trans is when you're talking to black people. His daughter's in preschool. So his daughter's probably not dealing with transgenders in preschool. But, you know, when she grows up, goes to kindergarten, goes to middle school and all that stuff, and then goes to high school, that's when those things, transgender bathrooms and stuff like that, become an issue. That's when that becomes an issue.
I was like, okay. I said, okay, let's try this one. I said, you're currently working in this barbershop, but I'm sure one day you want to own your own shop and that kind of stuff. Is it the trans people that are keeping you from accessing that capital? And he was like, I was like, so let me be real with you.
That's not the issue. That's not what he's talking about. That's not what he's talking. Okay.
I was like, what they have decided to do is distract you. They've decided to play you. I said, because at the end of the day, they have nothing to offer you. I said, but I got a whole agenda that Kamala Harris laid out specifically for black men. Not
No, she didn't do that. That's a lie.
just for anybody, but specifically for black men. So I was like, let me talk to you about that, because they've decided to distract you, because they did do the focus groups. Heritage Foundation and all of them, right. They did the focus groups, and they found out what emotionally gets people going crazy. And it is this. I can tell you that it is easy to play up the tropes when it's like, I don't even know what that is, but that sound bad, right? Like, because it's not in your community. Right. But when I went out and I would talk and I'd say, how is this an issue in an election when you literally, I was like, raise your hand if this is something that's happening. And so that's one of the things that I personally do. But from a messaging standpoint.
And as a candidate, if you're a candidate at a debate, and I as candidate Crockett should
I get to pivot differently.
Okay.
I really do, right? Because because I'm a civil rights lawyer. So you can't tell me that it's only okay for me to be a civil rights lawyer that only fights for the civil rights of certain people, right?
And see, this is our problem when it comes to all these people who talk. This is why we don't even really use the term civil rights. And I think that's enough of that. That's enough of that. The whole term civil rights has gotten bastardized and it's gotten taken over. It's been colonized essentially by all of these non-black groups of people. Now, when Dr. King and Malcolm X and the civil rights movement, when they were speaking on civil rights, it was actually about black issues. Okay, because we were the ones who were treated without civil or really even human rights. Now civil rights is, well, they should be able to go in whatever bathroom or play whatever sports league they want to be able to play. That's that. Now you're championing that as being a champion for civil rights. Now you're putting that as being a champion for civil rights. So these are the clips that people see. So when people see Jasmine getting drugged throughout the internet for calling Governor Greg Abbott Hot Wheels, to be honest, it's not the fact that we just love Greg Abbott, because I mean, why would we? But the thing is that when you look at this stuff and you see, okay, well, should we come to Jasmine's defense? Because it seems like Jasmine don't be coming to our defense. It seems like every single time Jasmine has an opportunity to talk about what issue she prioritizes, it's immigrants or it's trans folk. And for whatever real weird reason, she has this thing of, she's very, very passionate about her advocacy for trans people in sports. She's very passionate for whatever reason about that. Okay. But when it comes down to us, it's well, you got to understand Biden can't do this and we need more votes and we need more of this and we need more of that. Even the things that they can't do, we see them want to do something when it comes to other groups of people. We see them consistently bring up issues when it comes to other groups of people, even if they can't do it. If they don't have the seats, if they don't have the legislation, they don't have the votes, you will see them talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. When it comes to us, they all like, well, you know, there's not enough seats, so let's not even bring the issue up. We don't even get what they get as far as them bringing the issue up. We're literally fighting for elected officials to even mention our issues. We get blatantly ignored our issues. And the only time they somewhat bring it up is if they can tie that in with something else. Our issues get brought up if they can tie it in with Latinos, or if they can tie it in with immigrants, or they can tie it in with trans, or they can tie it in with some other group of people and some other problem. That's the only time our issues get brought up. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be all like, okay, well, Jasmine, if this is how you feel about this, this is your stance on this. What we're going to do is now we're going to let the trans people defend you, since that's who you champion, that's who you defend, that's who your civil rights credentials, that's who you put at the top of your priority. Okay, fine. That's cool. Well, now that you call Governor Greg Abbott Hot Wheels and everybody's saying that you should be repealed and subpoenaed and all of that stuff, let the trans community, the people that you defend so often, and then the illegal immigrants, the ones that haven't gotten picked up by ICE yet, let them come and defend you. Let them do that. Because as far as us, you know, we're very reciprocal people. So if you got our back, we're going to have your back. Even if you're wrong, we're going to still have your back. Y'all know how we do. Even if you're wrong, we're going to find a way to have your back. Okay? But if you ain't got our back, how about you have his back or her back or their back, whatever pronouns you want to use, because you about that. So why don't you go ahead and you have their back? So this is one of the reasons why the Democratic Party is not doing that well. And I've been saying it every time she comes out, she puts her foot in her mouth. So this leads us back to, because they understand that Jasmine Crockett, she's not going to be the champion. People don't like Jasmine. people don't like her. It's not going to be Jasmine. So who else is left? And they're looking and they're finding out AOC. Dun dun dun. AOC is next. It must be AOC. AOC is out here defending people, and she's championing stuff. Let me show you a clip from her rally. She was out here stomping in her rally. Let me show you a clip, right? Her and Bernie Sanders. Let me show you a clip of that, and then we're gonna do a review, not just of her, because it's important to do a review so we can remember, but we're not just gonna do a review of AOC. We're also going to do a review, a reminder, a refresher of Senator Bernie Sanders. But let's listen to this.
Greeley, here's another crazy radical idea for you. I believe that homes are not slot machines for investors and Wall Street. To extort working families out of every last dollar that we have. Home is sacred. And when your landlord doubles your rent overnight, or when housing prices skyrocket because Wall Street treats our housing market like a casino, your government and your public servants should fight to help you keep an affordable roof over your head.
Okay. All right. And as great as that is to keep an affordable roof over your head and all of that stuff, where was that in the last 4 years? See, the issue with this, the reason why this isn't really landing the way they need it to land, and this isn't really going to turn out to be as successful as they desperately need, is because where was this the last 4 years? The price of rent, the price of housing has only gone up, and you ain't seen them. And it's gone up for these reasons, because of these corporations and investors and collectors, all that stuff, right? And you ain't seen this advocacy. But now you're seeing a whole bunch of advocacy about housing and rent and all that stuff after the Democrats don't have power. Now, when they don't have no power, now they want to speak on issues that they didn't want to address when they did have power. So that's what's rubbing people the wrong way. Let's continue, though. Hold on.
How's that for crazy? And I believe that our elected officials should take on abuses of corporate greed everywhere we find it. We must get big money out of politics. Never will take money from industry lobbyists or corporations.
Okay, and that's cool. That's cool. That's great. That's absolutely great. That's 100% wonderful. That's amazing. Let me tell you what the issue is. And let me tell you why this is not going to work the way you think it's going to work. All right? Can we be honest? You're coming here and you're bringing all this stuff up, and that is an issue. The lobbyists and the corporations that buy the politicians to bend the law or whatever the case is. Okay, that's a problem. Your issue, though, AOC, is that you're a day late and you're $1 short. Because when corporations, all this big money stuff, and here's the issue with Democrats, they can't stand billionaires, they can't stand big money, they can't stand corporations, except the corporations that fund them. They don't like billionaires except the billionaires that fund them. Because when Kamala Harris was getting billions of dollars, millions of dollars, which totaled out to $1 billion, when she was getting millions of dollars from corporations, from investors and stuff like that, the same investors that are buying up all of these homes and raising up all of this rent, the Bill Gates and all of them, y'all didn't have an issue with billionaires and millionaires putting money into politicians' pockets and putting money into politicians' campaigns, and lobbyists. Y'all didn't have an issue when lobbyists come around when it's election season. But now that you guys are lost and there's not an election season, now we got to get rid of all these billionaires and stuff like that. This is why people aren't really buying that stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? This is why this is not going to work. Because you guys wait, first off, your last minute, because y'all had a long time to go on this tour and talk about these issues. AOC, I didn't see you say this at all in the last 4 years. You making your voice known now. You could have been said some of this, just some of it. You ain't said none of this. And now you want to come up and talk about, well, we need to do is to stop all these issues. But when the Democrats had power, this is the thing. Y'all didn't. Y'all did not stop these issues when you had the opportunity to, when you had the power to, when you had the votes, when you had the seats, when you had all of this. You didn't stop or even address these issues. So this is why y'all can go out here and y'all can do y'all campaigns and all of that stuff. Her and Bernie Sanders, y'all can do that, and it's not going to work. It's not. It won't work. It won't work. Okay. I'm trying to tell you guys, it's not going to work out for you guys. It's really not. Because let me pull this up real quick. Hopefully my laptop thing won't lag on me real quick. As you guys are waiting for me to pull this one clip up, I need you guys to be hitting that like button. I need everybody to be hitting that like button. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. And if you hit the like button, can you please leave the thumbs up emoji in the chat room? Just so I can have, some confirmation, to hype the crowd up to hit that like button. All right. I saw this and somebody gave this advice, and I think this is absolutely terrible advice to the DNC. Okay. And to AOC. And we're going to show you guys how this is not going to work. I'm going to explain to you guys how this is not going to work. Okay. Hold on. Where is it? Boy, StreamYard they don't like me playing these videos no more. It's okay, though. It's okay. It's all right. Now, here we go. Let's get this off the screen. Let me show you guys this. So this guy makes some advice. He gives advice to AOC. I'm going to take it back a little bit. Listen to this.
What helps them get ahead? Because that's what this country is so good at allowing people to do.
Okay, so I think that's brilliantly said, and so I don't really have a lot to add, but I'm just going to say two quick things. AOC.
Okay. All right, then. Not sure what's going on with that. Okay. All right. So that's not here. Well, we'll see if that comes up. We'll see if that comes up. Let's try it one more time now. Oh, see, this is why I don't like playing stuff off YouTube.
If I was a Democrat, I would want to have people speak with and talk to AOC, because AOC gets it. AOC looked at her crosstabs and said, okay, wait a minute, they voted for me.
Okay, all right then. Well, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate. I'm just going to explain exactly what he's talking about, since YouTube is not letting me play that, but it's okay. So what he's essentially saying is that what AOC needs to do is she needs to focus more on the white working class. And that's where the Democratic Party needs to go. They need to focus more on the white working class and stop focusing on the woke black and brown. That's what he said, the black and brown issues. And let me ask you guys this question, or remind you guys this. AOC and Bernie Sanders, because they're both out there. You got crowds cheering for them, and they're apparently breaking records with their rally numbers. But let me tell you guys this: AOC and Bernie Sanders are not friends at all to black people. Do not champion black issues, and every time you bring up black issues, they're out here deflecting, and they're out here saying things like they don't know what reparations is. Remember this? Remember this from Bernie Sanders?
Question specifically, my black son, okay, I know you're scared to say black, I know you're scared to say reparations, because it seems like every time...
Ma'am, I don't think that's a fair
I'll let you
statement.
finish as well, but it seems like every time we talk about black people and us getting something for the systematic oppression and exploitation of our people, we have to include every other person of color. So today, can we please talk about specifically black people and reparations?
We can talk about...
Very simple. And what was Bernie's response to it?
What I just indicated, in my view, is that when you have, and you and I may have a disagreement on this, because it's not just black, it is Latino. There are areas in America, in poor rural areas, where it's whites, okay? So I believe that in a country which has more income and wealth inequality than any other country, that yeah, the time is long overdue to start investing in poor countries.
No. And this is one of the things with Bernie Sanders. Absolutely no. This is why black people as a collective is not getting behind Bernie Sanders, and nobody is, okay? He's old, he's ridiculous, and anytime you talk about, and like I'm saying, if he was back black people's play up, if he was to get behind reparations and all of that, then we would have his back, but he does not. When you ask him about reparations, now for us, now when it comes to his community, the small hat community, he doesn't have an issue with us paying all of this money to them in reparations for things that we didn't do. All right. He doesn't have an issue when we pay the small hats. Nothing. There's no issue. There's not about, okay, well, y'all weren't the only ones hurt. But keep this in mind. Anytime they get something, it wasn't, well, hold on now. It's not like you guys were the only people who had a Holocaust. There was this Holocaust in America, the slavery. No. There's never, ever any, okay, well, we can't just think about you guys. Only when it comes to slavery, only when it comes to reparations, is it, well, hold on, y'all. We got to think about everybody. Everybody has to be thought about. It's not just poor blacks. Reparations ain't got nothing to do with nobody being poor. All right. Which is why it's so very imperative that we tighten up the language. We get the language straight. Okay. It is a debt. It don't matter at all if you are poor. That's not a qualification. Are there poor blacks who need reparations? Absolutely. Are there rich blacks who need reparations? Absolutely. Okay. The homeless FBA needs reparations the same way LeBron James needs reparations or Oprah needs reparations, even though they got more money than they could probably ever spend with the rest of their life they got living right now. They could probably never run out of money unless they made some terrible business investment. They sitting on generational wealth right now as we speak. But they would still be owed reparations because it doesn't have anything to do with your income or your wealth currently. It is about your ancestors. Our ancestors built this nation. We are owed reparations from the unpaid labor that they used to generate the wealth. That is it. That is all. All of this, well, we got to talk about the poor whites and the poor blacks and the poor, and ain't no. This is why we not getting behind crazy Bernie Sanders. We not getting behind that. So he's out here making it seem like he's a champion for the people. Well, why don't you be an equal champion for the people? Because when your people get money, Bernie, when Bernie's people, the small hat people, when they receive money, Bernie ain't out here talking about, hold on, we got to look out for everybody. Y'all getting money off of money, just billions of dollars. And y'all nobody's talking about, well, we got to give money to everybody. So absolutely no. But this is who AOC is rocking with. AOC is rocking with Bernie Sanders right now. Okay, so do you understand how when it comes to black issues, they always want to crowbar other people in there? Do you understand that? Do we hear that? Let me bring up a clip from AOC. Let me bring this up. I'm just going to let it speak for itself. Come on now.
important is for us to talk about racism within our community and how we are both impacted by racism in the United States and across the world, but also how it exists within our own communities. And a lot of times I'll hear people say, okay, this is about Black Lives Matter. What about Latinos? And I always say, Latinos are Black. we are Afro-Latina. And
okay, Latinos are Black. They're Afro-Latina. Notice how every time something is about Black people, her and Bernie are on the same page. Every time something's about Black people, you got to crowbar other people into it. Black Lives Matter. She's one of the main ones who's all like, Black Lives Matter. Well, let's talk about, hold on. What about Latinos? What about Latinos? Now, when Latinos talk about their issues, when it's about Latino issues, it's never, no, well, let's talk about the Blacks. Let's include the Blacks. Even though, according to AOC, she's not Black. AOC doesn't call herself Black, but Latinos are Black.
Lives Matter. What about Latinos? And I always say, Latinos are Black. we are Afro-Latina. And
no. Don't cherry pick no Afro-Latinos out of that. Most of y'all identify as white on your paperwork, and we already know this. We're not playing these games.
Higher racial spectrum. And so we have to have conversations around colorism, and we have to have conversations about the African and indigenous roots from which we come and how that's reflected in systems of power, wealth inequality, and frankly, our political system.
Okay. Do you know, now this is the person that they're saying is going to champion for Black people. This is the person that they're saying is, she's the girl for the Democratic Party. Now, what's interesting about this, and I keep saying this interesting because it is. Now, she said, Latinos are Black. Okay, telling us Latinos are Black. It's kind of contradictory of what she was saying right here. You guys remember this? Look at this. Oh, well, let me unmute it first. I'll unmute this. Okay. Remember this? Hold on. Now you want to mute again? Come on.
Of many different identities. I am the descendant of African slaves. I am a descendant of indigenous peoples. I'm a descendant of Spanish colonizers. I am a descendant of all sorts of folks. That doesn't mean I'm Black. That doesn't mean I'm, Native, but it does mean that I can use that as I can tell the story of my ancestors. That doesn't mean that I am that. And so I think in terms of how we navigate that, I think.
No, that does not mean you can't tell the story of somebody you're not. You can't tell the story of a people that you're not. Notice the thing with the Latinos. Okay. Notice the little 3-card Monty game that they like to play. Just notice that the 3-card little Monty game she likes to play. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter and you thinking that Black people are getting the spotlight, Black people are getting attention that Hispanics and Latinos aren't getting. Oh, we're all Black. We're all Black. We're Afro-Latina and we're all Black. Everybody is Black. Now, when you're talking about yourself, well, hold on. I mean, I got maybe a little bit of Black in me somewhere, somehow, but I'm not Black. Oh, no. Don't do that to me. I'm not one of you Negroes. I'm not Black. I can still tell the story, whatever that means, of my ancestors, whatever that means. Ma'am, your ancestors aren't Black. You just said you're not Black. How are you something different from what your ancestors are? You're what your ancestors are. You're not Black. Okay, you're not native either. And notice how they like to do that thing. I'm gonna play it back. And this is one of the deceitful things that we got to be very aware of when it comes to like Latinos, like AOC. They play this little 3-card Monty game where, okay, you're black and then you're Latino, and whatever is convenient for you to be, that's what you're gonna be.
The descendant of many different identities. I am the descendant of African slaves. I am a descendant of indigenous peoples. I'm a descendant of Spanish colonizers. I am a descendant of all sorts of folks. That doesn't mean I'm black. That doesn't mean I'm, native, but it does mean that I can use that as I can tell the story of my ancestors. That doesn't mean that I am that. And so I think in terms of how we navigate that, I think.
Oh, you can tell the story of your ancestors. Okay, but you are not that. So what was this thing?
And, a lot of times I'll hear people say, okay, this is about Black Lives Matter. What about Latinos? And I always say, Latinos are black.
Do you see? This is why we are not trusting AOC. AOC is not getting behind black people, okay? Because if it's a chance to crowbar Latinos into a black issue, she's gonna do it. If we leave reparations in AOC's hands, she's going to All Lives Matter reparations. I'm gonna play you guys this clip, and I'm gonna show you when she's asked about reparations. This is what she has to say. This is exactly what she has to say right here. Y'all remember this? Oh, and she gets to babbling.
What is a political cost, let's say, of saying we're going to throw your hat in with a program like reparations? How much do you think those considerations should be made?
Well, it's a good question. I think that one of the things that we've seen from early polling actually is that I think that we should distance ourselves and start getting away from this idea that we should only care about ourselves. Because when we really do start to assert and believe and understand and see how our destinies are tied, we kind of get away from this idea that only people of color care about other people of color and only white people care about other white people and so on. There are a lot of systems that we have to dismantle, but also.
Man, okay. Yeah, let me stop it right here. That is a crazy amount of word salad. That don't got nothing to do with anything. Okay. What does that have? What does that mean? What is she saying? What does that mean? What does that mean? The whole, well, we have to understand and believe and see and get and think about the fact that other people of color don't only care about first off, you're not asking about people of color, but other people of color only care about other people of color, and only white people care about white people. And we got to stop being selfish. Notice how when we talk about reparations, notice how the words selfish and inconsiderate and words like that come up. When other groups of people talk about their issues, or even not even their issues, just talk about their demands, notice how words such as selfish, words such as inconsiderate, words and verbiage such as we're only caring about ourselves, notice how talk like that doesn't ever come up when other groups of people are talking about what they want, whether it's justified or not justified, whether it's popular or unpopular, okay? Whether it's feasible or unfeasible, words like words that kind of condemn their demands, because it's not just us being told no. Our no gets condemned. We get told no in a way like you shouldn't even be asking that. That's just not even an appropriate or moral question to even be asking. Why would you even be asking that question? That's just not a right thing to ask. Just notice how words like self, like we shouldn't only be thinking about ourselves. Okay, well, when Latinos, when DACA is getting something, when the Dreamers are getting something, when all of these illegal immigrants are coming over here and they're getting something that's specifically for them, it's never, oh, we shouldn't only think about ourselves. Bernie Sanders out here, when his groups of people, small hats, when they're getting stuff that we're not getting, it's never, oh, we should only think about we can't only think about ourselves. Now when it comes to us getting reparations from our country we built for, because our ancestors were forced to provide the labor to build this wealth that would build this country. Now it's, well, you know, we can't just only think about ourselves now. The disrespect, I'm not tolerating that.
One of the things that we've seen from early polling actually is that I think that we should distance ourselves and start getting away from this idea that we should only care about ourselves. Because when we really do start to assert and believe and understand and see how our destinies are tied, we kind of get away from this idea that only, you know, people of color care about other people of color and only white people care about other white people and so on. There are a lot of systems that we have to dismantle, but also it does get into this interesting area of where we are as a country about identity, because like, what does it mean to be Black? Who is Black and who isn't, especially as our country becomes more biracial and multiracial. Same thing with being Latino. Same thing. It brings up all these questions of like passing and, you know, things like that. But
man, what are we doing? Can somebody explain to me what we're doing? Can somebody please? I need help. Can somebody please explain to me what we are doing? Because I don't understand this. Now she's talking about, it brings up conversations about passing and non-passing and who is Black and what is Black. And I mean, as our culture becomes more multiracial and multi-diverse, ma'am, you just was out here saying
about Latinos. And I always say Latinos are Black.
So Latinos are Black. So when it's Black Lives Matter, when Black people are the center of attention, when Black people are the ones being talked about, is, well, hold on, Latinos are Black. Hold on, no, Latinos are Black. But now when it's time to talk about something that wouldn't pertain to anybody but Black people, it's, well, I mean, I don't really know what Black is. I mean, Black is a color. So, I mean, are we talking about like brownish Black? Or are we talking about, and then you talk about stuff like it passing, man, what? See, this is why we don't play the whole thing about it. Reparation got nothing to do with Black. It doesn't. It has something to do with FBA, foundational Black Americans. It has something to do with us because we are Black, but it's not just a Black thing. It's a lineage thing. So all of that, well, who is Black, and then what makes you Black? If you're Afro-Latino, are you Black? And like, this ain't got nothing to do with that. And notice the confusion of, I mean, it brings up the fact that, like, I mean, if you're light skinned, do you get this much money? Or if you're dark skinned, do you get this much money? If your lips are this small, do you get this much? Okay, but what I mean, what does being Black mean? Like, is it like a haircut type of thing? Do you have to listen to a certain amount of music? And then it's just so confusing. Notice how they keep making this a confusing issue. This is not no confusing issue. She asked, what about reparations? I mean, well, first off, let's stop being considerate of just ourselves, because some people of color like other people of color and some white people like people of color. And then who is Black? I mean, this country is so multiracial. I mean, who is Black? Am I Black? Well, hold on, ma'am. You said that you were not Black. It's interesting how everybody knows what Black is until the word reparations come up. Everybody knows who everybody is until the conversation of reparations comes up. The conversation of reparations, people just get convenient amnesia and just don't know what lineage is about, don't know what ethnicity is about, don't know what race is about, don't know nothing about anything. Now, when you're in the interview and you're asked about your ancestry, you're like, well, I got a little bit of black, but I'm not black. Me no black. Me no black. She pulled a me no black. Me no black. Me no black. Me no black. Don't say that. Me no Negro. I'm not a Negro. Don't, no. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Well, Latinos are black. There are Afro-Latinos. So, I mean, let's all just share the resources. Okay, well, what about reparations? Well, I mean, some people say I'm black. I mean, are you black? Are we all black? I mean, we're all human beings, right? I mean, we all bleed red. She just pulled the All Lives Matter on reparations. We're all human beings and we all bleed red. And I just, okay. I mean, who knows? But the babbling doesn't even stop, y'all. Let's come on.
But I do think it is important that we have to have substantive conversations about race beyond like what is racist and what is not. And if someone says,
we have to have conversations beyond race, about race, beyond racism. How do we have conversations about race and not involve racism? Does she sound like she holds? Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you think AOC holds the Democratic Party's value? Does she hold the value of the Democratic Party? Because right now, to me, she's sounding like a Republican. That's what she sounds like to me. The whole, we got to, essentially what she's saying is we got to stop talking about race. Or no, not race. We have to stop talking about racism. We got to let all this racism talk go. You know, there are not all white people aren't racist. We can't act as if all of them are. We got to stop talking all about racism. We got to let that go. That's what she's saying right now. That's what she's saying right now. Okay. As she continues.
Something racist, does that make them racist? Like we need to get away from talking.
Hold on.
Well, not that we have to get away from talking.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Make them racist. Like what is not, and if someone says something racist, does that make them racist? Like what is not, and if someone says something racist, does that make them racist? Like someone says something racist, does that make them racist? Like
if someone says something racist, does that make them racist? Yo, is this the champion of the DNC? Is really who the DNC is out here saying that this is their next it girl? This is their next champion. AOC is going to bring the party back to life. Is this who they're saying? If somebody says something racist, does that make them racist? So now AOC is out here defending racism. I mean, just because somebody says something racist, does that make them racist? Oh, okay. So if saying something racist doesn't make you racist, what makes you racist? To me, she sounded like a hardcore Republican the way she's talking. She's talking just like a damn Republican. I mean, well, just because, I mean, everybody says a racist joke here or there. I mean, you know, he has black friends. Do they have black friends? I mean, who are the black friends? I mean, aren't we all black, my nigga? Like, come on. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you think she would have had the same response if somebody says something sexist, does that make them sexist? If somebody said something homophobic, does that make them homophobic? If somebody said something xenophobic, does that make them xenophobic? Do you think she would have said the same thing? Do you think she would have the same response? Like, hold on. I mean, we really have to have the conversation. I mean, just because you say xenophobic things against immigrants, does that make you xenophobic, though? Just because you say homophobic things against trans or whatever, does that make you that? Just because you say racist or, I mean, sexist things, misogynist things against women, does that make you sexist? I mean, we just don't know. We have to have these advanced conversations. Is that what she would have said? No. But now when it comes to reparations, she's sitting up there playing games. First off, what makes you black? I mean, if a black person says a racist joke to a black person, is he racist? I mean, come on.
We need to get away from talking, well, not that we have to get away from talking about racism. It's important that we talk about racism, but because we talk about racism so much, we actually aren't talking about race itself. And we aren't educating ourselves about our own history to come to the conclusions that I think we need to come to.
Ma'am, what does that have to do with reparations? She is fumbling and bumbling like she's Kamala Harris. This is why the Democratic Party ain't going nowhere. This is why the Democratic Party is not going anywhere. Because yeah, they can cheer at a rally and they can go off on the mic when they're by themselves. Yet when you put them in front of a camera, they're saying one thing one time and another thing another time and another thing another time. This clip, she's not going to go anywhere because this is what happens with Kamala Harris. Kamala was saying one thing at one interview, and then in another couple years, she's saying, oh, I don't believe in any of what I said 2 years ago. I believe in this now. And then 6 months later, she looks at the polls. Oh, no, I believe in what I believed 2 years ago. After I said that I didn't believe that, but I changed my mind again to my original thought before. So this is what I believe now. So it's all this confusion, all of this back and forth, whatever gives me the most points, whatever helps me out the best, whatever that is, that's what I believe in today. And if that changes tomorrow, I believe in something different tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I'm against tourists. I hate tourists. I ban all tourists. Okay, that's not cool. I love tourists, and I want to establish all these tourists. Tourists are great. Okay, guns, hate them, get rid of them, ban them. We should have no guns. Okay, actually, I love guns. The Punisher is my favorite hero. Like it becomes that. It becomes that. AOC. Well, are you black? Oh, I'm not black, but I do have a little bit of black. I have a little bit of native. I have a little bit of Spanish. You know what I'm saying? I love my Spanish side, but I'm not black. No. I'm not black. Hate them niggas. Hispanics, I mean natives. I'm a little bit of native, but no, I'm not native. But I can still tell the story through the ancestral memory passed through the DNA of my Negro ancestry. Okay, so it's a little bit of that, but I'm not black. Don't call me black. Don't ever call me black. I hate that. Okay, well, so you're not black, right? But you do identify as a Latino. Okay, yeah, she identifies as a Latino. So what do you think, since you're not black and they're different, black people are black people and Latinos are not black, according to her. So what do you think about Black Lives Matter? Oh, what? Well, hold on. I know I said I wasn't black, but I'm black today. What is there a check coming? Because I'm black when there's a check. I'm blackity black. You feel me? Like I'm super black, dog. Like I'm as black as can be. I was just at Popeyes. I'm super black. You know what I'm saying? I keep hot sauce in my purse. I got that from Hillary Clinton. I'm as black as possible. So now you're black again. Okay. So since you're black, and I probably understand that you talk about these conversations and stuff like that all the time, what do you think about reparations? Well, we have to first gather to understand, to come to the conclusion that we need to think about the situation beyond where we're at and who we are and the history of where we got here, because the country is so multilingual, languageal, ethnical, cultural, and diverse. And now you have males and females, men and women, and you have maybe something else. I mean, with that, it's a lot of stuff that we got to think about. With that, as far as black people, I mean, what does it mean to be black? I mean, do you have to have dark skin? How dark? Are we gonna bring back the paper bag test again? Do you have to have that? Does that mean that? Because there's a lot of Latinos who will pass for black. I mean, who knows that? I mean, is it like is it a cultural thing? Like, if you grew up in the suburbs, are you less black than if you grew up in the city? Like, is it that type? Is it a religious thing? Like, if you're a Catholic, are you more black than a Baptist? Or which one is the most black out of that? You know, and then you got the black Muslims and you got black people who don't like spiritual. Are they black? Like, it's just, I can't. It's so much stuff that we got to do as far as that. I mean, I don't even know. I don't think anybody is black. right? I don't know. I don't know what I've never seen a black person. I don't know what black is. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm black, you know what I'm saying? When I'm driving and stuff and I'm rolling down the street listening to hip hop music, I feel like I'm black, but then when I eat my tacos, I feel like I'm Hispanic. Like, I think everybody is black. Everybody is black, right? Everybody, right? This is the champion that the DNC is trying to tell you guys that we got to fall behind. This is who the DNC is sitting up there trying to tell you is the next it girl. This is who the DNC is trying to tell you will come through and save the Democratic Party from its doom, from its destruction. This is who the DNC is saying. Depending on the day, she don't know what black is. Well, I mean, I understand that because according to the DNC, they got a lot of these women of color, these kind of white, kind of not white, offshoot white women like her, like Kamala Harris. They're black when convenient. Let's bring her, yeah, she's black when convenient. Remember that? Just like AOC is black when convenient, Kamala Harris is also black when convenient. You know, she's identifying herself as a black person and she loves black people. And then other times she don't even like to be asked if she's black. I mean, who knows? She has a black agenda, but the black agenda isn't a black agenda. The black agenda is an everybody agenda, right? So, you know, remember, like, this is how AOC responded, okay, to the whole
is right? What he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, next question. Kamala don't want to identify as black because it's not the right time for her to, identify as black. You know, she identifies as black when she needs to identify as black. But, you know, besides that, it's just this confusion on what is black. Who knows what black is? Okay. So you see the same thing between her and you see the same thing between AOC. They're black sometimes. They're not black sometimes. This is what the DNC brings you. They bring you these women. And watch, if they told you that this Hindu Indian lady, they told you that she was black, they're going to wind up trying to blacken AOC up because they need black support. They need black people back on those plantations. Next thing you know, AOC is going to start putting on a sister girl Southern accent. As a matter of fact, there's already clips of AOC doing that. There's already clips of AOC doing that, where she's putting on an accent. Let me find it. I just thought of that right quick. Okay. AOC's already doing that. Hold on. I'm pulling it up right here. It's loading. Do you guys remember this is AOC's already? Hold on. They're talking about she's putting on the Southern twang to her accent. Hold on. Where is it? Boy. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, that wasn't the clip. That was a clickbait. Here it is. Let me show y'all this clip real quick. Let me show y'all this clip where AOC is actually putting on fake accents.
And I, for one, am tired.
Okay, y'all don't like to play nothing. What's going on?
And I, for one, am tired.
Okay. All right then. It's not. Okay. Well, we're gonna get that off the screen. That's dead air. We're not gonna play that. You know, if it does pull up and I do be able to pull it up before, we will do that. But if we can't, then we just can't. It's just what it is. Let me see. If I find it on Twitter, it might be able to play. So hopefully. But besides that, the fake accents, all of that stuff, that's not it. That stuff is not gonna work. That stuff ain't gonna work. Oh, here we go. Let's lay this. This is the clip I was originally looking for. This is the clip I was originally looking for. All right. Oh my God. Come on. All right. Hold on now. All right. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Boy, that was something else. Hold on, let me see something. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if this must be, I don't know if it's YouTube, if it's StreamYard. My Wi-Fi is good right now, so it's not that. My computer's been working fine. I haven't had any computer issues. So stuff like that happens all the time. We just got to work through it. All right. We just got to work through it, y'all. We just got to work through it. But we getting the message out regardless. Okay. So they can come up with little glitches and stuff like that. That's not going to stop nothing. It's not going to stop nothing. It's a bump in the road. But overall, we're still getting the message out. But as you saw in the previous post, yeah, they hating real hard. And at first I was all like, is it the laptop or something like that? But now I'm all like, nah, I don't think it's the laptop, because I've been working on a laptop all day and it's not been an issue. All right. If you see with that stuff, and here's the thing that I don't appreciate. Me personally, I don't appreciate you trying to blacken stuff up when you come to me. Because when we go to the Hispanic community, when a politician goes to the Hispanic community, they're not trying to speak in a Hispanic accent. They're not like, we're gonna do this together. You gotta get out there and vote. You gotta vote for me. We're gonna beat Donald Trump. You don't see that. Okay. When you go to the Indian community, you don't see that. You don't see the over the top accent and the stereotypes. You're not coming out there belly dancing and all that stuff. You don't see that. But when you come to black folk, ain't nothing wrong with serving food and fried chicken, and ain't nothing wrong with some iced tea. Ain't nothing wrong with this. And you are not from the South at all. You don't have this accent. Okay, you're a Hispanic from New York. That is not your accent at all. Your family doesn't even have that accent. You don't hear that accent. Kamala was doing the same thing too. Let me see. StreamYard, don't trip on me. Can I pull this clip up? You know, in some cases, I don't like to pull all the clips up so the RAM doesn't get too much. So I'll leave some of the clips down. But look at this. This is what she was doing.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
And you all won in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Sugar, that's what I'm talking about, baby. We're going to get out there and vote, honey. Yes, Lord. Oh, my God. Praise the Lord. They be coming out there and they be doing all of that extra. Man, that's fake as hell. But then when it comes to reparations, man, let me tell you something. I would give that a pass if you was for reparations. I would give that a pass if you was for reparations. If you was for reparations, you could put on the thickest country accent I've ever heard in my life. And I would be all like, well, like I said before, black people, if you got our back, we're going to have your back. If you was for reparations, hate crime bill, if you was for everything we wanted you to be for, you can come out with a thick country accent. You could have a piece of hay, a straw of hay in your mouth with a damn cowboy hat with a thick country accent. And we'd be all like, well, hold on now. Maybe she was watching a Bonanza or something like that. She fell asleep with us on. It's in her mind. She had a cowboy dream or something. How do we know that she doesn't talk like that? The black folk, we will defend you to the end of the earth. If you got our back, we're gonna have your back. I'm trying to tell you. It don't matter what you do. We're gonna be all like, hold on, that's code switching. She's code switching. She's probably really from this. First off, we have an influential accent like that anyway. Okay, and didn't she meet Glorilla? And Glorilla is from the South, you know, so it's technically I could see her rubbing that accent off. That's why she has that accent. We would defend it all the way, even if we know we lying. We come on now, we do that. We know we do it. We know we do it. We will defend it all the way. We will die on that hill. We will stand on it. We will. If she said, I'm here to give y'all reparations, I'm here to give y'all your black hate crime bill, I'm here to fix the situation with the police, I'm here for you guys. And if she had the track record to prove that, every single last one of us would be trying to come up with legitimate reasons as to why she has a Southern accent. First off, you would have to get us to admit that she has one. We'd be like, that don't sound like a Southern accent to me. She would come out there like, hey y'all, how y'all doing? We'd be all like, I don't hear a Southern accent. She could put on the thickest Southern accent all the time. You wouldn't be able to get us to acknowledge it anyway. And then if you did get us to acknowledge it, then we'd come up with some defense. We'd be all like, well, I mean, sometimes I do that. Sometimes I put on the Southern accent. I mean, I can understand why she putting on the Southern. I mean, yeah. I mean, California, but people who are in California, even though she was raised in California and Canada, there's a lot of people from Canada who got Southern accents too, I think. So yeah, she probably has we would defend her Southern accent the whole time. But because she's not actually vouching for us, because she's not actually defending us, because we know she really doesn't care about us, that's what makes this disrespectful. We can excuse you tweaking, we can excuse your Southern accent, we could excuse that if you was for us, but when you're not doing that and you putting on the Southern accent, we find that disrespectful.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
We'll do it again in 2024. Okay.
So let's get
right to it now. No, if like I tell you guys, I know how we do. We would defend that the entire way through. Just like AOC in this ridiculous accent. It is, to be honest, I don't know which one is less believable. Kamala's accent or her accent. They're both atrocious. But we would be defending both of them. If they had our back, we would have their back.
This is what organizing looks like.
Right.
This is what building power looks like. This is what changing the country looks like. It's when we choose to show up and occupy the room and talk about the things that matter most, talking about our future. You know, Reverend, you bring up a funny anecdote, and I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat. There is nothing wrong with driving the buses that take your family to work. This is what organizing looks like.
Okay, this is what organizing looks like. First off, let me tell you something, AOC. Let me give you some advice. Not that you deserve it, but let me give you a little bit of advice. All right. You doing too much. And this is somebody, I'm not even from the South, but I have family member from the South. I go to the South. There's a lot of brothers and sisters. If you guys are from the South, tell me in the chat room where you're from. If you're from the South, okay? Where are you from in the South? Because I know Southern people. And I'm not going to necessarily say I'm from the South, because I'm not from the South. But a lot of people in Chicago have like a twang of a Southern accent. Okay, we got people from Atlanta, Mississippi, Texas, you know what I'm saying? Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Virginia, South Carolina, another Georgia, Arkansas, South Carolina, North Carolina, another Georgia, North Carolina. Come on now. Oklahoma, Texas. Am I right or am I wrong? Is this Southern accent too much? See, this is what happens when you're not actually from the South. Naturally, if I just naturally let my accent just hang out and I don't try to cover it, don't try to hide it or nothing, naturally, there's a slight Southern twang to the accent. Just naturally. There's just going to be a slight little Southern twang to the accent. There's a lot of people in Chicago, a lot of people in Detroit, who are like that. Or they have a little bit of it. Okay, and the accent gets deeper the further down south you go. Naturally, I will sound more Southern than they are. I can hear it. I have a good ear and I can hear accents, okay? When you go over the top, it sounds cartoonish. Am I right or am I wrong? Because we got a number of people in here from the South. We got a number of people in here from Texas, from Georgia, from North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Virginia, all of that. When you naturally have a Southern accent, it's naturally what you talk like. People who have Southern accents, what they do, I was about to say what they do is they actually cover their Southern accents. That's the thing. When you have a Southern accent, you naturally cover that up because Southern accents have like a stigma to it. So naturally, when you go to work, you try to pronounce your words in a more corporate way, a more polished and universally, nationally corporate way. You kind of hide your Southern accent to a little bit. So the way you would pronounce certain words, if you would say, can I get some water over there? You would say, oh no, can I have a bottle of water? You pronounce your R's. In Chicago, we don't pronounce our R's like that anyway. Not like that. And I know in the South, we got a thing with R's. We don't really like, especially, we don't have an issue with R's, but we do have an issue with R's when R's are at the end of a word, like water and car, and door. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is, but it's a thing where it's like when the R is at the end of a word, it's like we just kind of want to act like it's a silent R at that point. I'm not sure what that's about, but we do that. All right. But when we got to consciously be putting in our mind like, oh no, hold on, pronounce the door. Can you open the door for me so I can get the water from the car? Like we got to constantly think of that because naturally we'll say dough and car and water and we won't even think about it. All right. We won't even think about the R's at the end. So that's how people who are from the South naturally be talking like that anyway. We just naturally be like that anyway. Am I right? I'm either right or I'm wrong. That's naturally how we talk anyway. Okay. But when people are not from the South, it doesn't come off natural. When people who don't have a Southern accent, it doesn't come out natural at all. When people who are not from the South and they try to sound, yeah, same in Ohio. Shout out to the Ohio family. Same in Ohio. They got a bit of the Southern accent thing too, you know. So we all kind of know, because we all kind of generally have a little bit, at least the foundation of an accent, you know. And then even in the South, and that's one thing, even in the South, there's different variations of a Southern accent, because the South is pretty big. It's different variations of a Southern accent. So you might hear a certain accent from Georgia that you might not hear if you go to Louisiana. Even though they both have Southern accents, the Southern accent in Georgia is a little different from the Southern accent in Louisiana. The Southern accent in Texas is a little different from the Southern accent in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? So the accents kind of even have different deviations, okay? There's different deviations of even the Southern accent. You know what I'm saying? So we understand, but generally it's the base of the Southern accent is generally like understood. We generally understand, okay, that sounds like a Southern accent, the way you're pronouncing your words, right? When you're doing the Southern accent and you're saying it, when people who are not from the South try to mimic the South, and a lot of people act like Southern accents are easy to mimic, they're really not easy to mimic. Most of the time, if you're not from the South and you try to put on a Southern accent, people can tell, especially people from the South. Y'all can tell almost instantly, okay, you're not really from the South. You just really not from the South. Your accent is just too over the top. You not from the South. We can already tell. When people like over pronounce the word, I'm so thirsty today. I want some water and I want it's hot outside today. Like, you're not from the South. Now, brothers and sisters, we gonna get out there and we gonna vote. We gonna get Trump out of office now. Like, no, that's not a Southern accent. That's not a Southern accent, baby. It's not. It's not how people from the South talk. And look, it's okay to not be from the South. Everybody's not from the South. You don't have to be from the South. But why, if you don't have to be from the South, why do you try to be from the South? Because you're trying to cosplay as something that you're not, because you understand that by your association with Blackness, your relatability to Blackness or Black culture, it gets you further along. So you're trying to ride off of identity politics, which is really what it is, instead of actual representation. And let's have this conversation real quick since we're on here. Okay. Yeah, somebody like, goofy as hell, boy. I can't believe you. They won't say you, they say, yeah, I can't believe you. I can't believe you say that to me. Like, that's not a Southern accent. You sound like a Looney Tunes cartoon. That's what you sound like. You don't sound like a Southerner. You don't at all. Even a Southerner who's not trying to hide their accent, you don't sound like a Southerner. You don't. All right. There's a difference. Going back to what I was saying before, there's a difference between identity politics and then representation. What we want is representation. What we want are politicians like everybody else who get out there and they represent our best interest. Okay. They represent, okay, this is the Black people who voted for me. Most of my constituency in my district, in my town, in my city, in my state, they're Black. I'm looking out for the Black people. All right. That is representation. This is political representation. Every other community has pretty strong political representation. What we don't have political representation. We really don't have that. What we have, like, for instance, Marion Barry, that's political representation. Hey, I'm out here. I'm looking out for Black people. I'm doing what I can for Black people. Shout out to Marion Barry. That's political representation. There is absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, it's a good thing to have political representation. Somebody who's actually representing your community. That's good. What we have instead of political representation is we have identity politics. That's it. You're not really representing us, but you claim the same identity as us. And you feel like because you can claim the same identity as us, that you should have the same type of respect and reverence as somebody who's actually representing us. When you're not representing us, you're representing everybody and a mama except us. You're excluding us, and you refuse to represent us. You refuse to fight for our issues. And then when we try to bring our issues up to you, you shut them down like they did in California with the reparations. When we get anywhere, you're the gatekeepers to make sure that there's no black progress being made, okay? But yet you claim the same identity. Hold on, because the second you say something about them being a Sambo, being off code, they be all like, I'm black as hell. Look at me, I'm super black, man. You know, my hair naps up the same way your hair naps up. You know, I slept with a do-rag last night. I'm black. What are you talking about? Like, that's what they do. Yeah, okay. And you might be, but for instance, Jim Clyburn is black. Okay. Jim Clyburn's also from the same lineage. But Jim Clyburn, so just because he has the same identity does not mean he is representing, what is it? South Carolina, right? South Carolina. You're not representing South Carolina. You're not representing South Carolinians. You're not representing black people. You're not. You're representing what is best for the DNC, your DNC masters. That is who you are representing. But you claim the same identity, and you think because you can claim the same identity means that you should be able to ride away with having your identity, and then sometimes this doesn't even match, mimic our identity. Because our identities are similar in that sense, means that you get to get away with that, and we're not going for that no more. If we want representation, we want representation. And here's the thing with that. You don't have to, if you can be a representative and you can fight for the constituency, and you don't actually have to have the same identity. You don't. I'm not from Louisiana. You guys know that about me. Y'all know I'm not from Louisiana. If I was to go to Louisiana and I was to become the mayor of Shreveport, Louisiana, let's just say, hypothetically, let's just say, I wouldn't sit up here and pretend I'm from Louisiana. I wouldn't sit up there and pretend I'm from Shreveport. I wouldn't. I would admit I'm not from here, but I'm still going to represent you guys. I'm going to represent you all to the best of my ability. I'm going to represent you guys, because it's about me representing your best interest. That's what we want. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're from Louisiana, if you're from Mississippi, if you're from North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, wherever, Florida, wherever. You could be from LA. It don't matter to me. Arizona, it don't matter to me. You could be, it don't matter. As long as you are representing our interest, that's fine by me. You could be light-skinned, dark-skinned, male, female, straight, gay, short, tall, rich, poor. It don't matter. What do you or who do you represent? And if you represent what we own, we good. We don't need nothing else. We don't need nothing else. I don't need to know your favorite cartoon growing up. I don't need to know what you like to eat in your breakfast in the morning. I don't need to know what type of music you be listening to on your ride to the Congress building. I don't need to know none of that stuff, because that's representation. But when it comes to identity, that's what these Democratic politicians been riding on. That's why Kamala Harris be all like, oh, I was listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg in college, even though she wasn't listening to Tupac or Snoop Dogg in college. But she's trying to mimic our identity, because she knows that Tupac and Snoop Dogg, they have an identity in black culture, and she's trying to mimic that. Even though she's not a part, she's trying to mimic that. Oh, yeah, I was listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg in college, and I love Cardi B, and I keep hot sauce in my purse. Y'all, you know what identity politics is? This is a perfect example of identity politics. Not real representation, but identity politics. Listen to this.
I have a friend who had a Christmas party, Christmas Eve every year. And she asked me to make the greens for a party every year. And I am not lying to you that I would make so many greens that I'd need to wash them in the bathtub. I'm telling you the truth.
So how do you make your greens? Do you put turkey in them? Do you
Bacon.
Put nice. My grandma
I
used
do
to
bacon.
Put bacon. She's put
Garlic.
vinegar.
I put white vinegar.
Yes.
I do. So I start.
Yo, this is identity. And first off, it's a terrible, terrible show of that. It's terrible. I don't know who told her to go out here and say this. And she said it multiple times too. Who told her to go out there and tell people that she washes her greens in the bathtub? Now, because of her Indian heritage, I do believe she probably does wash things in the bathtub, wash food in the bathtub, but we just know it's not greens because we know Indians don't really get down with eating greens like that. We know y'all ain't really about no collard greens like that. I mean, but we've seen the videos. Come on, don't act like I'm tripping. We've all seen the videos. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually was washing stuff in the bathtub, and that's besides human bodies. I'm sure she washes a lot of things in the bathtub, a lot of food in the bathtub. She probably cooks it in the bathroom too. I mean, why not just bring the stove in the bathroom? Why not? You can wash the food in the bathtub, and then you can put like a hot pot, a hot skillet thing, a hot plate on the sink, and you could fry it on the sink right after you leave it from the bathtub or whatever the case is. And if it needs a little bit more water, you have the toilet, you can just get some water out the toilet. That's probably how she do anyway. Let's be real. That's probably how she do. Okay. Which is why you've never heard anybody brag about her cooking, because probably nobody eats that. Okay. Nobody is at least alive to tell the story of how bad her cooking is. But this is identity politics. That's identity politics. Cooking green, we ain't got nothing to do with that. Look, and I like greens. I grew up eating greens. I grew up eating a lot of greens. Okay, I love them. I do. Okay, I don't care. You don't have to eat greens. You might somebody in the chat room. You might hate greens. You might hate all soul food. You might not like greens. You might not like cornbread. You might not like fried chicken. You might not like macaroni. You might not like, and that stuff I love. You might not like none of that stuff. That's cool. Because I don't need you to like what I like. I don't need you to sound how I sound. I don't need you to listen to what I listen to. I don't need you to watch what I watch. I don't need you to wear what I wear. I need you to represent my best interest. All of that other stuff, Black Eyed Peas. Come on now, y'all gonna get me hungry here. Bringing up all this food, because y'all know how we get down. Bringing up all this food, right? Listen. So y'all distracted me, okay? Got me hungry. Let's be honest. You don't have to. You don't have to represent my best interest. So all of this Southern accent stuff, and you're still bringing up food. All of this Southern accent stuff, that stuff, identity politics, we've matured past that. Because back in the day, we used to believe that identity politics was synonymous with representation. And for other communities, it can be, but for our community, it's not. At least it's not automatically. Now, is there a politician who probably, if they're going to represent us, if they're coming from our culture, they probably are going to like the food that we like. They probably are going to like greens. If they're from the South, maybe Carolinas, they probably might like gumbo. If they from Louisiana or whatever, they might like fried chicken. You know, who don't like fried chicken, but like they might keep hot sauce in their purse. Depending on where they're from, they just might. They might be able to link with our identities the same way. They might. You know, and oftentimes when people who are from our community, we have that in common. But the thing is that we've thought about, okay, well, if we have this in common and we share the identity, then we're going to share the same interests and we're going to share the same agenda. And we've matured past that, because that's the wrong way of thinking about the situation. Just because you share the same identity with somebody and maybe even the same upbringing as somebody does not automatically mean that you're going to share the same agenda and political values. That doesn't mean that at all. So what we've been thinking is, okay, well, the identity is the same, the agenda is going to be the same. And other communities And that happens oftentimes with other communities because they do have an agenda that's in sync, but we don't. And we have to understand that. So your identity, if we know, that's cool. If we don't, that's cool. What is your agenda? What are you going to represent when you get in there? Whose interests are you going to represent when you get in office? And by you trying to fake an identity that you really don't have, it's coming off as deceitful, which is giving me the impression that you're not going to represent our interest. Because here's the thing: if you were really going to represent our interest, if you were really going to represent our interest, you wouldn't even need to put on this identity thing, because the representation comes first before the identity. If you are going to represent our interests to the best of your ability, the representation, the identity comes second. You might find behind the scenes that they like fried chicken or they like greens or macaroni. Behind the scenes, you might find that out. But they say on the forefront, hey, this is my agenda. This is who I'm representing. These are the people I'm representing. These are the policies I'm pushing. Your representation, your agenda will speak for itself. And then maybe your identity might be discovered. It might not be. But when you see people try to lead with the identity politics and try to get people hooked emotionally to the shared identity, that lets you know that the representation part is not there, or at least is not there for you. It's there for somebody else. It's not there for you. So this is what we've learned, and this is what we've matured from. So that's the reason why when they were talking about, hold on, she be cooking greens in the bathtub. She be cooking greens, and she listens to Snoop Dogg and Tupac and Cardi B and Glorilla, and she's cool with Megan Thee Stallion and all of this stuff. Yeah, but that didn't matter. That didn't matter. Now, if if Kamala was for reparations, if she was for an anti-black hate crime bill, if she was for, police accountability and all of the stuff that we want her to be for, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. But the fact she's not for none of that stuff, but we supposed to go off of the fact that, oh, she went to an HBCU though. Man, I don't care if you went to an HBCU. I don't care if you listen to Snoop Dogg or 50 Cent. I said 50 Cent. Snoop Dogg or Tupac. 50 Cent including. You can listen to Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Glorilla, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Sexy. None of that mattered to me. And this is why black people didn't support her and won't support her. And this will be the same fate for AOC. The reason why is because the Democratic Party does need a leader, but the leader has to reestablish its connection to black people. And right now, the DNC is not trying to do that. Bernie Sanders is out there having rallies with AOC, and they're out here talking about fighting the oligarchy and fighting Donald Trump and fighting the Republicans and all of this and that. But they're not talking to black people. They're not talking about what they're going to do as far as reparations. I mean, you heard them both. Bernie Sanders says, well, we're going to think about the poor whites. And those poor whites is really not feasible. And we have to think about the poor whites. So we got to think about the poor whites, okay? According to Bernie Sanders, that's who we have to think about. When you ask AOC about reparations, she don't know what black is. Well, are you black? I mean, there's passing, there's light skin, there's dark skin. I mean, who knows? Are you black? I mean, am I black? Are we Latino? We don't know. She don't know nothing. She's a dumb Latino. Let you tell it when it comes to black people. And this is why the party is going to stay where it's at. It's going to stay where it's at because what the party needs to be focusing on is reconnecting with their base, which are black people, and not just for the black vote. Let me say this. Somebody in the chat room is very correct. She does have a white husband. And it's not just for the black vote. They need that support. Let's break this down in a deep sense. Let's get deep real quick. They need the black support, not just for the black vote, but also for the brand, for the image, for the momentum, okay? For the influence. This is who we are. This is what we carry. This is who we give it to. We can give you support, not even just beyond our vote, but if you have our back and we have your back, the brand is different. The thing is that you can't go out there and pretend like you're fighting for the underdog. You're fighting for the working man, and you're fighting for the poor man and poor woman, and you're fighting for the people who are struggling. You can't get out here and push this party agenda as if you're fighting for the underdog. If the ultimate underdog, us, if the ultimate underdog is not represented. See, your whole brand, any brand in this country that's about morality, any brand in this country that's about fighting for righteousness, fighting for justice, fighting for equality and equity and all of that stuff, fighting to make the country better, it all stems with us. You can't make this brand like you're fighting for justice and us not be at the center of that. You can talk about the working class, the blue collar white man. You can talk about feminism and the feminist movement. You can talk about the alphabet community. You can talk about all of these other issues to the side. But until you get to the core of who is the most done wrong, who's the most egregious, who's the people who have been done wrong the most, the core of fighting for them equals fighting for justice, you're not going to get nowhere. So as you guys are going out here trying to talk about fighting the oligarchy, and you're talking about fighting for justice, and you're ignoring black people, the brand is not going to have the brand of justice, because we, as foundational Black Americans, we are the ones who determine who is fighting for justice or not. If you're not representing us and our interests, you're not representing justice. If you're not representing what we are representing, our agenda, you're not representing righteousness. You're not representing morality. You're not representing these things, okay? I want us to start thinking about this. We are justice. What we say is just, that is just. What we say is not just, that is not just. We are the ones who determine in this country what justice is and what justice is not. I want us to really think about that. It was the civil rights movement that determined discrimination was not just. Prior to that, discrimination was fine. It was fine. It was just. It wasn't until enough of us collectively got on code and said, you know what, discrimination, all this discrimination as far as the schools, as far as the jobs, as far as the housing, all of that is unjust. That's what made it unjust. When we say, hey, all of this police brutality, police going around brutalizing people, beating people up, shooting people, lynching people, all of that stuff that they're doing, and they get away with that, they don't have to get punished for that. That's not just. That is what made it unjust. Because stuff like Rodney King, the beatdown of Rodney King, that was just until we said it's not just. Being railroaded in the court, being this witch hunt that they got going on in the court, that they always have going on in the court, that is just until we say it's not just. We say you can't lie on somebody and then lock them up for a crime that they did not commit. That's not just. We're not going to allow you to slander somebody because you don't like what they're saying or you don't like the business decisions that they're doing. That's not just. And when we have their back, that they have justice behind them. The same way, Michael Jackson. What they were doing to Michael Jackson wasn't just. And they would have gotten away with it if the people, us, did not say, hey, we see what you're doing. We see the game you're playing. That's not just. Cut it out. And they had to cut it out. Even more recently with Kyrie Irving, where they were trying to railroad Kyrie Irving for something he really didn't do. And we said, if we see what you're doing to Kyrie Irving, that's not just. Cut it out. And they had to stop. Okay? Even Derek, I want y'all to understand, they were going to let Derek Chauvin go away. After the situation with George Floyd, do you know all of the officers involved, they didn't get arrested, they immediately got fired? When they got fired, That's when all of the riots and stuff like that happen. That's when they all like, okay, well, if you are not going to bring justice, then it's cool because we're going to bring some justice. And then after foundational Black Americans got together, got on code, and started bringing in that justice, then next thing you know, oh, okay, you know what? Actually, we did mean to arrest him. We just kind of forgot about it at that time. So yeah, let's arrest him. He is in jail right now because we said what he did was not just, and we're going to make it right. And y'all better make it right or we're going to make it right. And they said, okay, don't worry about it. We're going to make it right for you. That's justice. Same with Amber Geiger. She was going to walk away with, I stumbled into the wrong apartment and then I just shot the guy. We said that's not just. Now she's in prison. Now, is it the time of everything? Are there battles that we have not won yet? Yeah, there are battles that we have not won as of yet. But for the most part, none of these people would even be arrested. None of these people would have to go to trial. None of these people would have anything happen to them if we do not determine what justice is. We are the people who determine what is just and who is fighting for justice. If you're fighting for anything else, it's not just. Okay? Deportation some years ago, that was seen as unjust. Locking kids in cages, that was seen as unjust. The second we started saying, you know what, y'all problem is y'all problem, and the fact that we don't care, it's not unjust anymore. We are the ones who determine what justice is and what justice isn't. So when you're out here, when AOC is out here stomping with Bernie Sanders, talking about justice and fighting the oligarchy, we're the ones who determine if you're fighting for justice. And as of right now, I'm going to make the declaration that AOC and Bernie Sanders are not fighting for justice. They're not. They're not. And we're not going to pretend that they are. They're not fighting for justice. They're not fighting for righteousness. You cannot talk around us and pretend to be fighting for justice. You cannot go around our interests. You cannot ignore our problem. You cannot speak to all these other groups of people and still have the audacity to claim that you're fighting on a behalf of righteousness. You're fighting on behalf of what is good, good versus evil. You're not. You are not. And this is why you guys are always going to lose. Because the brand of justice is synonymous with us and what we say. And if you're not doing what we say, then you're not on the side of righteousness. You're not on the side of justice. You might as well declare that you're evil. If it's that serious, if it's that serious for you not to do what's in our interest, you might as well claim that you're evil then. You might as well say, I'm for the oligarchy. You might as well say that, and you put on a dark robe like you're in Star Wars or something like that. You might as well do all that. You might as well, because we're the ones who determine if it's just or not just. And right now, I'm telling you right now, what AOC is doing with Bernie Sanders, that's not justice. You can talk about all the stuff you want to talk about, but until you talk about the core issue of this country, stemming from the original sin of this country, which is slavery, until you decide to discuss that in the right way, until you decide to say, you know what, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans have gone unpaid. Their ancestors built this entire nation from scratch with unpaid labor that they were forced under the threat of death to do. And they need to be compensated for that. And we're not going to play any games. We're not going to stall. We're going to give these people what is owed to them. Until either one of them say those words exactly the way I said it, neither of them are fighting for justice. I don't care if you're fighting for free health care. I don't care if you're fighting for low housing. I don't care if you're fighting for free education. I don't care if you're fighting for food banks. I don't care if you're fighting for single mamas. I don't care if you're fighting for the disabled. I don't care if you're fighting for LGBT. I don't care if you're fighting for immigrants. I don't care if you're fighting for anything. If you're not fighting for us, you are not fighting for justice. So not only do you not have the Black vote, Mrs. I don't know what Black is, not only do you not have that, more importantly, you don't have justice on your side. You can't go out here and pretend to be a hero and ignore the original sin of this country. And that's what the Democratic Party kept trying to do, ignoring the main people they need to be focusing on. That's exactly her fate. Where did that leave her? Where did that leave Kamala Harris, trying to ignore black people? Where did that leave her? Okay. Do what you want to do. We're going to see how that works. But I personally am not going to allow you guys to go around acting like you fighting on behalf of justice, because you're not. You're not. We know you're not. I'm just not going to allow you to even say that. You can fight on behalf of the DNC, but the DNC does not represent justice until we say so. Now, when the DNC represents reparations, the way we say it, don't try to remix your own version of it. The way we say reparations, then the DNC will represent justice. When the DNC represents our agenda, our interest, the way we say it, when they say, hey, I'm going to fall in line and I'm going to do what I need to do, give me the instructions. When the DNC starts following our instructions, then they will start representing justice. Until then, you represent something that is outside of justice. And if you're representing something that is outside of justice, what is the opposite of justice? I mean, there's not like levels to, it's not like no vague gray area. It is just or unjust. It's not really much space in between, right? So if you are not representing what is just, what is righteous, what is moral, what is correct, then that means you're representing what is incorrect, immoral, unjust. That's what that means. That's what that means. There's nothing in between. There's nothing. Let me get to the super chats. I'm just seeing them now. Let me get to the super chats. Tyler says, black folk are busy fighting for others when leftists, LGBTQ plus, and Asians fight for themselves. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And we got to stop that. Thank you, Tyler. BX, I see you, BX. Shout out to BX for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Jacoby says, at AfroLeague, can you imagine AOC trying to fit with FBA and saying she's FCK? Oh Lord. Oh my God. I you know what's funny about that? I actually could. I could see that. I could see her saying something like that. I could. I don't know why I could, but I could. Because they're desperate at this point. Oh, my brother Black Logic is in the building. Shout out to Black Logic. I appreciate you, Black Logic. How you been? You know, Black Logic, he, be putting in his own work. Shout out to Black Logic. Thank you very much for your super sticker. And then Bossa Nova says, AE, keep up the great work. B1. That says B1 OC. Okay. B1 OC and FBA. Shout out to you. Thank you very much for that. Also, shout out to the Cash Apps. Shout out to the people who've been gracing us with the Cash Apps. Thank you very much for that. Shout out to Latrivia. Shout out to Latrivia for the Cash App. I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. And then shout out to my brother Cyberdyne for your Cash App. I appreciate that so very much. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. All right. What's the C? Let me see. It's not a typo. Oh, y'all talking in the chat. I wonder like what's going on in the chat room. Y'all talking in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Now, I do want to say this. I have been getting home a little bit later than normal, so that's why I had pushed the schedule back. I pushed the schedule back to 8 o'clock, and then I didn't even really get on to about 8:30. That's not gonna happen. Okay, we're gonna go back to our regularly scheduled program, which is at 7 o'clock Eastern, is at 7 o'clock Central Time, and then 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So just because this week I've been getting home later than normal, because I've had other things I had to take care of, that's why I've had to push this back. But, now that that's over with, now I'm going to, go back to my schedule I had before, making sure I'm back at the house at a certain point in time. So now we're going to go back to our regular schedule. Okay. That's 7 o'clock and all that. All right. You work that time. Go for it. Hey, some people be listening to on the playback and everything like that. And that's great. That's great. Dead Blaze Johnson sends a super chat. Thank you so very much, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. So, like I said, to wrap this up, is AOC going to be the next hero? It doesn't matter, because a hero stands for justice. A hero fights for justice. And if you are not fighting for foundational Black Americans and fighting for our interest, you are not fighting for justice. So you're going to have the same fate, if not worse, than Kamala Harris did. But good luck. We'll see how far you get. I don't think it's going to be that far, though. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on my various social media pages. That is Afro Elite on Instagram and Twitter. That way you got extra notifications. All right. And if you want to message me or send me an email, my email is also in the description below too. So you guys can, send me emails with important information. Okay. Please. Okay. Anyway. But follow me on that. More importantly, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell. All right. Because we're going to go back to our regular schedule. It's been a lot going on. I've been busy. I've been cutting up videos, cutting up all this stuff. So there's been a lot going on, but we're going to go back to it. So that is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well too. I'm not saying I'm going to do a live every Wednesday, but I'm also going to put like a video or something out on Wednesday to fill in that gap between Monday and Thursday. All right. So we're going to go back to it, and I don't want you guys to miss out on absolutely anything. So make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that subscribe, double check to see, because funny things are happening, and if you guys have been with us for the last week or so, you notice that funny little technical glitches and stuff like that are coming up a lot lately. It's happening a lot more than normal lately, but that's okay, because we always overcome. We always look past it, or not look past it. We always find a way to work past it. Okay. We find a way to improvise. And shout out to Precious. Thank you very much, beloved, for the Cash App. I appreciate you. Thank you. Now, with that being said, be one, my brothers and sisters. I appreciate you all watching. Thank you all for watching. Y'all stay blessed.